At a luxury car dealership in downtown Chicago, two young black teens walked into a showroom where the walls gleamed like mirrors and the floor caught the light like a sheet of ice. Their eyes locked instantly onto a $3.2 million hypercar resting like a coiled panther at the center of the marble floor. But the awe on their faces wasn't met with warmth or interest. It was met with sneers, with laughter muffled behind manicured hands, with salesmen trading glances that said without words, "They don't belong here." The boys didn't notice at first. They were too swept away by the sight of the car, a brand new Valkyrie Obsidian X, engineered for perfection, bathed in glistening black carbon fiber, its cockpit low and aggressive like a fighter jet. Dorian Wright, 17, was the first to move closer, his hand stopping just inches from the glassy surface, admiring it like a work of art. His younger brother, Isaiah, 15, hovered beside him, his mouth slightly open, whispering numbers, horsepower, top speed, 0 to 60 times. They weren't loud, they weren't rough, they didn't touch, they simply looked. And yet, in the eyes of the showroom staff, they had already crossed a line. A sharply dressed man in a pinstriped suit peeled himself from the shadows near the espresso bar and approached, his shoes clicking with theatrical precision. His name was Vincent Lorne, top salesman at Hartwell Prestige Motors for 6 consecutive years. His smile was thin, bloodless. "Can I help you, gentlemen?" he asked, layering the last word in irony. Dorian turned, his voice polite. "Yes, sir. We were wondering if this is the Valkyrie Obsidian X? The one that does 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds." Vincent's gaze traveled, not to their faces, but to their sneakers, to the loose denim jackets, to the backpack Isaiah still wore. He chuckled, low and dismissive. "This particular model starts just over $3 million. Plus taxes, of course." Dorian smiled back, undeterred. "We read about it in Motor Trend. It's incredible." Vincent shifted his weight, already tiring of the conversation. "Well, it's nice to dream, isn't it?" he said. "Maybe check out something more accessible." From behind a display of luxury watches, another salesman snickered. A couple browsing the new Armitage Ascension turned and smiled, not a welcoming smile, but the kind you give stray dogs lingering outside a 5-star restaurant. Isaiah's shoulders sagged. He dropped his gaze to the polished floor. Dorian, older and more practiced at hiding bruises, simply nodded. "Thank you for your time," he said. They turned toward the door, trying to make their exit look casual, trying to carry the weight of dismissal without showing it. The glass doors whispered open as they stepped into the daylight, the city buzzing around them, unaware that two hearts had just taken another scar they'd have to learn to carry. Inside, Vincent chuckled and made a show of dusting off his sleeves. Some lessons, he thought smugly, kids had to learn early. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the lesson wasn't for Dorian and Isaiah. It was for him. And it was coming sooner than anyone expected. The next morning, at exactly 9 a.m., the street outside Hartwell Prestige Motors filled with the low, powerful rumble of precision-tuned engines. Two hypercars pulled up in flawless synchronicity. The first was a cerulean Tempest Aurelius, the second a Cobalt Eclipse Valkyrie. Rare, exquisite, untouchable. The engines cut off, leaving a stunned silence. From the driver's side of the first hypercar, Dorian stepped out. Same denim jacket, same battered sneakers, same backpack. From the second, Isaiah emerged, his hands still jammed in his hoodie pocket, head held high. And from the back seat of the cerulean Tempest came a man who moved like a storm in human form. Dr. Everett Wright, father, entrepreneur. CEO of Wright Consolidated Logistics. Net worth north of $480 million. He adjusted the cuffs of his charcoal suit, glanced once at his sons, and together they walked toward the glass doors of Hartwell Prestige Motors. Inside, Vincent Lorne was halfway through a cappuccino when he noticed the crowd gathering at the windows. He craned his neck and choked on his sip. The same boys, but not the same story. The doors parted with a hiss. Silence fell over the showroom. Even the music piping through the hidden speakers seemed to pause. Dr. Wright stepped to the center of the showroom, between the glittering towers of steel and glass, and spoke with the kind of measured calm that made every word strike like a drumbeat. "I understand," he said, voice low but carrying, "that my sons were here yesterday." Nobody answered. Nobody needed to. The shame thickened the air like humidity. I understand, he continued, that they were treated as intruders. Spectators. Vincent stepped forward, trying to muster a smile. Sir, it must have been a misunderstanding. If we had known, Dr. Wright raised a hand and Vincent fell silent mid-sentence. That's the problem, Mr. Lorne, Vincent said hoarsely. Mr. Lorne, Dr. Wright said. You judge them not by their conduct, not by their questions, but by their shoes, their skin, their clothes. Vincent opened his mouth to protest, but the room was dead silent, filled with customers and staff who had seen everything unfold yesterday, and no one was ready to save him now. Dr. Wright continued. You see children. I see kings in the making. You see clothes. I see character. You see skin. I see my legacy. He paused, letting the silence press deeper into the marrow of everyone listening. You see, the difference between us is not money, he said. It is vision. Yours stops at the surface. Mine never has. The dealership manager, a pale, sweating man named Travis, hurried forward, stammering apologies. We'd be honored to make this right. Dr. Wright. Anything you need. Any vehicle on the floor. Dr. Wright turned to his sons. Is this the place you want to buy from? He asked simply. Dorian and Isaiah looked around. At the marble floors. At the shining cars. At the people whose faces now bore the stark, ugly truth of how quickly they judged. Isaiah shook his head. Dorian followed. Dr. Wright nodded. No, he said quietly. We don't reward disrespect with business. He turned back to Travis. We'll take our business to a place that sees value before appearance. And my sons will remember this. He paused, looking around the room one last time. And so will you. He turned, his sons following him, walking the same slow, deliberate pace back to the doors. Outside, the hypercars sat waiting under the morning sun, sleek and untouchable. They slid into the driver's seats. The engines ignited, not with a roar, but with a low, restrained growl, like panthers who didn't need to bare their teeth to remind the world who they were. And as they pulled away from the curb, back into the city that too often tried to shrink boys like them, they left behind something heavier than exhaust. They left behind a silence that would linger. A mirror too clear to ignore. Inside the dealership, Vincent stood frozen. His reflection stared back at him in the shining windows, small, petty, broken. For the first time, he realized. It wasn't just two boys he had underestimated. It was an entire legacy. An entire future point, one he could never touch. And it had passed him by without ever needing to raise its voice.